Europe's largest mobile and telecommunications conference is back. Mobile World Congress kicked off on Monday in Barcelona, Spain. After 3 years of pandemic disruptions, Huawei and a large contingent of Chinese companies are turning up in force at the world's largest wireless trade fair. Mobile phone makers are showing off new devices, and telecom industry insiders get to check out the very latest networking gear and software. Out of 2,000 exhibitors and sponsors, 150 are Chinese, and Huawei Technologies has the largest presence at this conference. For a closer look at all this latest technology from the Mobile World Congress and what that may mean for us as consumers as well as investors, we're joined by Scott Schober. He is president and CEO of Berkeley Varitronics Systems. Scott, thanks very much. We appreciate your time. Firstly,
great to be here with you.
Let's talk about the absence the past few years because of COVID and what this means now firing up in Barcelona. And as we mentioned, some 2,000 distributors are going to be there, including 150 from China. So a very large presence from China. How is that being received?
Yeah, I think it's pretty incredible. And I've been to the Mobile World Congress before in Barcelona. It's an unbelievable show. It takes you several days just to walk through it. And as you mentioned, there are about 2,000 exhibitors, 150 of whom are going to be Chinese companies. So I think they really have a good foothold, and they're really telling people they're back in this after the pandemic. And I think that's good to see. Competition, it always improves things. And I think if you look at a big show like this show is really focused on mobile phone manufacturers and everything else that's associated to it in the industry. And that's really the push there. If you're going to launch a product or something, this is the place to be if you're a mobile phone manufacturer, with exception of Samsung and Apple. That's the irony of it. They have presence there, but they don't have actual booths, and they don't have any product launches. They do their own events, which is kind of unique.
You think they're missing the boat, not taking advantage of this?
Part of me says yeah, but Samsung clearly is the global leader, a South Korean company. They've got the world footprint. And Apple obviously is a huge iconic brand. I don't think they have the strength in the China market, either of those two. But we see a lot of great companies and a lot of great things coming out of China, and I think that's exciting.
You know, in reading about this, with Huawei's presence there, it's no secret the U.S. has cracked down on Huawei in a huge way. But what I'm hearing, what I'm reading is, despite all this, there is tremendous interest in Huawei right now. What kind of message does that send to the United States, and how good is this for Huawei?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point you make. I think it's, in a sense, a sign of defiance. Huawei kind of said, hey, look, guys, we're in this. We don't care if you put sanctions. We don't care if you get other countries that sanction us and stop the build out of the 5G infrastructure stuff. We're in this for the long haul. And also the interesting thing, and you'll see this at the Mobile World Congress, I mean, they're in almost a whole hall themselves, Huawei, which is a huge presence, double of what they were in the past. But they're also diversifying. I think that's interesting. Not just mobile phones, but they're talking about connected cars. They're talking about AI, lots of other technologies and things that are parallel to the mobile phone market, making them a big tech contender then. And that's going to get the likes of a lot of other big companies waking up and saying, whoa, Huawei's really spreading out. They're not just building network equipment and not just making mobile phones. They're doing a lot of stuff now. We got to watch them.
It's all about competition. What about trends in Chinese smartphone tech? Because one thing I'm reading, we're just trying to get our head around 5G, and they're already talking about 6G. It may be years from making it to the market, but it's there right now.
Yeah, and that's another great point there. They're thinking ahead, which I think is important for all phone manufacturers. 6G is going to afford a lot more things such as connected cars and connected homes with your smartphone. So doing even more, if you could imagine, we could even do more with our smartphone. It's like a Swiss Army knife now. This year, it was more of a battle, I think, between, you know, this manufacturer versus that manufacturer. Who's got the best camera? Who's got the best resolution? You know, 3 lenses versus this and that. All those features, they've really stretched the bounds to improve the performance, and I think that's good. But even the lower-end manufacturers, you look at Honor, that's really an offshoot of the Huawei brand, right? That's the lower-cost They shifted that off. They've got some exciting things. I've been playing around even with some of their smartwatches and things like that. Exciting technology, especially for the price. And that's what's going to be very attractive to the Chinese market, as well as a lot of other emerging markets. That low price point, these Chinese manufacturers are going to make a big dent and start doing well.
Okay, Scott, you got about a minute. Wow me with the latest stuff that's out there, the things we're going to hear about coming out of this conference and people are going to be talking about the next year to 18 months.
Yeah, I think one standout that everybody thought would be a big wow factor was these foldable phones. Market share on foldable phones has been terrible. It really hasn't taken off, probably the pandemic, lack of shows, lack of budgets. But really, it's a different type of phone, one that actually expands. They call it a rollout screen, or it contracts, it rolls in, and the screen actually will get larger or smaller, which is kind of cool and very practical if you're used to a computer with a big monitor,
Right.
and now you can actually have it expand. That to me is one of the hottest things that's coming out this year. The cameras, I love it if you love doing video and photography and all the features. And that's what they've done. They've added a lot more features and then tying that into some of the augmented reality and some of the new stuff that's coming out in the gaming world. It's starting to get pretty exciting.
Okay, sounds great. Scott Schober, President and CEO of Berkeley Varitronics Systems. Hey, we really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Take care.